Welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Bled and Said. We are so excited to have the author of the Bram Stoker nominated for Best First Novel, The Scald Crow, the author Grace Daly. We are so excited to talk to you tonight. Welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's just take a moment before we get into anything else. Let's take a moment and talk about being nominated for Best First Novel here. What was it like when you found out? Obviously, first you're long listed, and then you find out you're a final,
Finalist.
nominee for everything. It's like, what was that whole process like?
How many bricks were you shitting? So many bricks. The most important thing to know is that, and I say this in the most genderless Midwestern way possible, I am just some guy. I don't
Hilarious.
consider myself particularly fancy. I don't have an MFA. I started writing when I had to stop working my real job. And I started writing fiction because I was going crazy without a real job and I was feeling really depressed and like I didn't have a sense of purpose. And I had a therapist recommend that I just start writing for my own mental health. And so I never really expected it to go anywhere. And then to have my first published book, The Scald Crow's not my first manuscript. My first manuscript is not nearly so good, as I think many authors can relate. But to have my first published book, be up for the Stoker, it's absolutely, kind of beyond anything I could have imagined. I remember, working on Scald Crow and working on writing and, seeing other authors get published at all and being like, "Wow, what a dream, I can't even imagine." And I would have settled for, just being on Amazon or print on demand or something. I'm in Barnes& and Noble. One of my friends visited Powell's, and it was a recommended book at Powell's because of
God,
the Stoker nom, and can't believe it, and how
so
I found out.
you have,
Yeah,
continual diarrhea bricks, as
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah, it's
something happened.
much like my main
I
character.
was gonna say this is perfect conversation for some of the things that we'll be talking about later.
I just
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah,
say, I can't imagine because
yeah,
having a
it's
therapist, having
absolutely
mental health
wild.
issues, I said, I can't imagine having, been in that position where, at least I only know how I felt when I've, been between jobs or, you're trying to, what is my sense of purpose? And digging yourself out of whatever, at least again, how I would feel for that. And then to have this working and then it turns into all of this. I mean, what an amazing journey.
It's truly incredible, and it sounds so cliche to be like, "Oh, when one door opens and when one door closes, another opens," you know?
Yeah.
But, whoa! I really can't believe it, and, I'm not a religious person, I don't believe in God, but, god damn if I'm,
Yeah.
kinda maybe they're onto something, I don't know.
I like to also sing the what is it? The closing time. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Gets
that's
you in that like
true.
very
Yeah,
drunk
maybe it's
state of mind
closing
where you love
time.
everybody and like all that.
Yeah. I gotta have that on a shirt. I'm always like pitching the merch for the clients here. It's like, I don't believe in God, but god damn.
But I don't know if I have a better explanation.
Yeah,
Put
that's
that on a
awesome.
sticker for me, please.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's been really crazy. The other thing that was funny too is how I found out because the folks in charge of the HWA don't tell you before if you're nominated before the announcement goes out, before the public email goes out and the big announcements go out. You find out at the same time as everyone else. And those email announcements must go out in batches because I got congratulations texts before I got the email telling
No.
me that I
That's
was a
crazy.
nominee.
You're like, were some of them just like flat congratulations? And you're like, for what?
Thanks. I don't know what
So
for.
I knew that the nominations were going to be announced So, like, I could logically
Context for it.
deduce. But one funny thing about my particular disabilities is my sleep schedule is like a big hot mess nightmare.
Mm,
And since I don't have a real job, I like am like this kind of like horrible, weird nightmare insomniac squirrel where
Mm,
I pretty regularly stay up pretty late and then I sleep in pretty late. It takes me a long, long time to fall asleep. So I'll sit in bed like reading and doing low stimulation activities for like a good 2 or 3 hours before I actually sleep. And then I have to sleep a really long time. Like I average like 11 hours a night, but it's not rare for me if I'm flaring to do like 16.
got it.
So I wake up in the middle of the day a lot of the time. And so I woke up to these congratulations texts before the email hits my inbox. Like it was literally like I wake up cuz my phone's ping 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 pinging and I'm like is someone dead? And it was the opposite of
Oh,
someone being dead.
yay! No one's dead, and I'm a finally. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yay!
It's funny because no hate whatsoever to the HWA or the Stoker Con organizers, but I swear they use like a 1997 GeoCities website still.
Yes.
Trying to find anything on there, I'm usually going like 3rd, 4th party trying to figure out like what's
Yes.
going on or where, and like all I'm just like so that doesn't shock me is all I'm saying that other people would know before. So that yeah, that's hilarious. So are you gonna be able to make it to Stoker?
Yes, I'm gonna be at StokerCon. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm a little nervous because it is like, a couple days and with my disability that can be hard. But I have a genetic disease, and so I'm also bringing my father, who also has the same genetic disease and gave it to me. And I think between the two of us, we'll make a whole person, and he'll be
Are you
able
just
to
gonna keep
support
pointing at him
me.
and saying this is his fault, but also this book wouldn't
This is
exist
his
without it?
punishment.
Yes.
Yes.
No, he's
Okay,
he's very
so
proud, he's really excited, and so, yeah, so I'm gonna go, my dad's gonna help kinda, like, physically support me, and I'm really excited for what I've heard called horror prom. This will be my first time going, but I bought my dress, like, 5 months ago.
Amazing.
It's super hot, everyone should be really excited, to see me in my dress.
I love it.
I'm
It is
almost more
it is
excited.
horror prom. I mean, people
Yeah,
go all
Saturday night
out.
is definitely horror prom for sure.
I'm really, really thrilled. I'm really, really excited about
I would say
it.
more even the like, the Met Gala of horror, because like, people are so I mean, it's from, like, jeans and T-shirt to, like, true costume, like, so it's really fun.
Yes, very much. And just
One
take lots and lots and lots of breaks. I'm not the only one, but lots of people said, like, "Yeah, I just went up to my room and I just stared at the wall for, like, a little bit." Just, like,
I think there's gonna be a fair
stimulation
bit
to
of wall staring.
Yeah.
Mhm. You're gonna you're gonna have to do some extra sleeping when you do get the chance.
Yeah, and I did learn from Robbie Dorman that apparently some people will give out, like, little trinkets related to their books, and so I've decided that my trinket is gonna be single serving packets of Advil.
Freaking awesome. Also, shout out to Robbie. He has one of the best table displays for being able to buy his books and, like, the way he has everything laid out. Like, if you take
Mm,
any tips from him, he's fantastic about it.
okay, I'll have to check that out. I love Robbie, he's so wonderful,
We do
so,
too. We think
Yeah.
he's great. We do. But
so
yeah,
who
he definitely has it set up in a way, and I know Will with Creature's gonna be there. I said I'd sit with him for a little bit and try to help sell some creature books.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. I'm excited to see Will too. I haven't met Robbie in person yet. I have met Will in person. And of course, Will and I have worked pretty closely together to promote Scald Crow, which I'm really grateful for because again, I'm some guy. I had no idea how to promote anything.
Well, Will is the best. I feel like he, like, loves the books the way that like a surrogate father to
Oh,
your
yeah.
book.
Yes, he gets so excited and that's really, really nice. Um,
Yes.
because I can be a little anxious and I can get overstimulated. So having somebody to be excited for me when I start to panic is really lovely.
If you are too tired at any point and need a break, I will sit and sell your book for you and help
Yes.
represent because I love sales and I love books. I love doing all this and I have no problem saying, "Hey, come over here.
We can have a
You
little
need this book."
Grace cutout that we'll
Right.
sit next to,
Like, I'll just take your the cutout
Oh.
of your face, and I'll be like, "She's on break right
holding a
now.
little single pack of Advil and,
Grace would
ready to
want you
go.
to have this."
Man, maybe this is, like, too uncouth of a joke, but you know those, like, sexy body pillows that have, like, an anime waifu? Maybe one of those of me.
You have, like, a perverse sense of humor like I do. I'm
Yes.
enjoying this.
Yeah, I do.
I have to go back because we got this as a digital ARC first, and that's how I initially read it, but I've had to have a physical copy too, and
Mhm.
our local Barnes& and Noble, you were face out in the
Yep.
recommend section there too.
Yep, you were.
So, yep,
Oh,
like, that's in, like,
A big town. Yeah, yeah.
ultra red, tiny South Central Pennsylvania Barnes& and Nobles.
wow. Alright. Then I really am killing it then. Wow.
Absolutely.
Did you hear that? It was
Yeah.
another brick she just shit.
Yeah,
Yeah. He
seriously.
sounds that's interesting.
And
It's
it
like the
was another
kid from Mario.
diarrhea brick, so there's kind of like a sound.
Oh my god. So, the cover of this book is really evocative and is one of the first things, like, so when we met Will at Twisted Spine,
Yes, as we say, he's our oldest and dearest friend that we met last September.
yes, and he was like, we were just sharing about the different, like, books, like, that we read. I didn't even know he worked for Creature, and we were just like, "Oh my gosh, we love Tatiana's books," and he was like, "Oh, well, have if you like other books," he's like, "Have you read The Skull Curry?" And I'm like, "No, I've seen, like, people talk, about it." And so, I mean, he just is the best at, like, teeing up the book, telling you what it's about, and not giving any spoilers, but, like, tying it all together. And then when we were looking at, like, talking about how evocative the cover is, so it's like a kitten and
Yes,
a, raven or crow?
it's a crow, yeah.
Yes, well, it's the crow. I don't know
Yeah,
why
it's
I
a black
said that.
crow, yeah.
See, there's my wait a minute, that's my ADHD. Wait a minute, I can't hear it, call the bird sound, and I'm looking at the picture. That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous.
And it's funny because this cover is both
The skull
it
raven.
it's vaguely horrifying, but, like, adorable at the same time, which, kind of
She like, though, she could have been like, "Fun fact, it's called the skull crow, but it's actually a raven. They put the wrong bird on the front."
I was hilariously specific about both the coloring of the crow and the coloring of the cat on the cover. And there was some back and forth with me with the cat coloring and the crow coloring because I wanted, if somebody to look really closely, I wanted it to be the exact correct species of crow, which it is.
Okay,
And then
great.
I needed the cat on the cover to be Koo, the cat in the book. So
Tuxedo
the
cat.
original cat on the cover was a tabby, and I made them redo it so that it was a tuxedo.
Good, good, good.
We also had a bunch of back and forths about how big the cat's pupils should be, and I made them change that too because they originally made it a slit so that the cat
No.
would, like, look traditionally spooky, and I
Yes.
was like, "No, the pupils need to be big because when a cat is hunting, their pupils are big." And so, I
See,
need because I knew cat people were gonna pick up the
I was gonna
cat book.
say, like, us people that a lot again, ADHD, I think horror reader, like, a lot of these people are like, we research in depth, we look at the
Yeah.
fine details. So the fact that you even got, like, the species of the crow down to what you want and, like, how you're talking about the pupils, I love that. The attention to
Yeah.
detail.
It
And if
felt
you
really important because I notice stuff like that when I read books.
yeah.
I really, really notice things like that, and it makes me really upset, and I wanted all my
So
all
you
all my
understand where okay, so you understand why I'm, like, looking at the bird and I'm like, "Wait a minute, let me make sure, is this a
yeah.
crow or a raven?" See, like, I was going into it, but if you didn't want to do ibuprofen packs, you could always hand out ravens, which would just be ironic to be like, "Buy my book, The Skull Crow, and get a raven."
Yeah, give
Actually, so
hand out a
my
raven and a
table
dog.
setup, I do have, like, a big, like, metal crow
Awesome.
that is, like, part of my display when I do, like, all these different fairs and stuff.
Love it.
And, I used, like, Warhammer paints, like you would paint for, like, minis, and
Yeah,
I repainted it to make sure that it matched the correct species.
amazing.
That's so cool. Well,
Yeah.
like, side note, if you've not listened to the Ologies podcast. I haven't mentioned this for a little while. It's all science-based. She's got a wonderful one on crows
Yeah,
and one on corvids, which are assholes, but I love them. They're like,
I love ologies. I have not listened to the Crow episode. I should give the Crow and Corvid episodes a listen.
okay,
I
you
I
let me
do
know.
love ologies though.
I do. I really
I
do.
think my favorite ologies episode is the one about bats.
Really?
I love the bats episode of ologies. I
I
loved
don't
it
know if
so
I've
much.
done that one actually, because I was gonna
The
say
bats ones the bats
mine
ones
are the Paris catacombs
are ooh.
Vampire one.
and the vampire and, honorable mention, like, soil. How freaking random,
Ah, the
and, like,
scorpion one is so good,
yeah,
but
I
that's a
don't
Ooh, I
favorite.
like
need to listen to the scorpion one. I love, like, the biology and, like, I love the biology ones.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And, like
The
yeah, and,
dolphin
like,
one's
I
the
was gonna
really
say
blue
you
good
can find
too.
out
ones.
how truly weird dolphins are. No, but I
Yeah.
love that, like, the birds. Even actually, I the moss one was great too, learning about all the tardigrades in there. Like, I just yeah, those are my favorite.
Tardigrades are great.
Yep, yep. So I love
I
all the
love
sciencey stuff. Like,
tardigrades.
that is a wonderful nervous system reset to listen to
Mhm.
ologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her voice
It's
is very soothing.
her voice is very soothing, she edited it so well. It's so good. It's so, so good.
Yes, exactly. It's like you're learning, you're laughing.
Her
She's like
asides are so good. Yeah,
yes,
definitely. We're not a
yes.
bit we that's not
That would be
level
what
we're
we
at
would
yet.
yeah, we would love to be that.
The dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, so how would you pitch your book? Let's see,
Your
I'm
best
gonna
Will
report
Roth
I
impression,
would say
yes.
I'm gonna report to Will how well you did this.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So, The Scald Crow is my debut novel. It is currently a finalist for the Bram Stoker Award for Superior Achievement in a First Novel, which I am really excited about. And it is about a young woman who is disabled. She has undiagnosed chronic pain. She's been to doctor after doctor after doctor, and nobody can figure out exactly what is going on with her. Around the same time that she loses her job due to this chronic pain, her abusive mother goes missing. And so, to save money, she moves into her empty childhood home. As soon as she gets there, a bunch of spooky stuff starts happening. A painting of Jesus keeps moving around by itself. She starts finding frozen body parts in the place of everyday objects. And this evil bird, the scald crow, starts following her no matter where she goes. But it's set in the Midwest. She's Midwestern and she's very chill. We're all very chill around here. So when this spooky stuff starts happening, she doesn't flip out. Nope, she handles it calmly. For example, when she finds a frozen man's fingers screwed into the baseboard in the bathroom, she decides that she must be imagining it. She pops that bad boy in a Ziploc baggie and puts it in a freezer to deal with later. Takes a couple edibles. She's feeling overwhelmed. Goes to bed. The next morning, she goes back, checks the freezer, and it's a goddamn door stopper again. And so she goes, well, I guess I better call my therapist. Ultimately, the harder she tries to ignore all of these horrifying things that are happening and the harder she tries to ignore her pain and her disability, the worse and worse and worse things get. She gets more and more stressed out, more and more freaked out, trying to figure out, is she going crazy? Is she haunted? Is the house actually haunted? Is her pain real? Eventually, she adopts a very good kitty. His name is Koo. And he helps her find the internal strength she needs to face the great evil that is haunting her and overcome all the barriers that are in her way. And there you go. That's the
You
Scald
did
Crow.
that
Amazing.
is, probably the best pitch I think we've ever
Yeah.
you
Polished.
win the pitch Olympics even though you didn't know you were entered. Very
Yes.
nice, very nice.
Thank you.
If the, being nominated isn't enough for people to buy the book,
Mhm.
already, that pitch should have done it. I do just have a very quick question when you were mentioning about the Jesus photo moving. Did the character say, "I don't believe in God, but goddamn"?
She should have. That does sound like something Breege would say.
Alright. Sorry, I just had to.
And there's so many moments where Jesus pops up, and so and she doesn't say that, but there are some very funny other things that she says. And aside from being very, like, chill about it and again, I was kept up all night last night because I was like, "I'm gonna fuck up how I say her name." Even though I've read the book, I've listened to the audiobook, I'm still gonna say it wrong, and she would be so irritated with me if she knew that I did that. So, everyone calls her Bridget, but it's actually pronounced
Breege.
Breach, so the which is,
Breege.
like,
Yeah.
beautiful and lovely, like, I love that,
Yes.
but it's kind of a running joke that her therapist doesn't say her name right the entire like,
An
book, which
entire
I
book, The
love.
Therapist Doesn't Get It Right. Yep.
Yes, and so which is so funny to me, but humor is so, like, central to this book.
'Cause we have our own
Yes,
Scald Crow here, our
yes.
corgi,
Ooh.
a bone that is just, another dog to their own. Yes, about Breege.
Well, I would say, like, Briege is hilarious, and her voice is so wonderful, and I was just saying, there are a lot of, like, horrifying things that happen in this book, but she is very chill about it, and she is so funny, and humor is such a central component to this book. Was that something that you were just like, "That's just so you"? Because listening to you, like, you're also hilarious. So, is that something that you were just like, "If I'm gonna write this thing, I'm gonna make it funny too"?
Thank you so much for saying I'm funny. I think I'm really funny, and, that really helped. Thank you. Thank you for, thank you. I actually there were multiple reasons why I dumped him, but one time I dumped a guy because he told me I wasn't funny, and we had
Mm,
been dating for, like, 2 years. This was, like, a long relationship, and I was like that's the moment I knew. When he told me he didn't think I was funny, I was like, "That's it, bud. You're out."
You're like,
yeah.
go fuck yourself."
You're either a liar or have bad taste. Either way, fuck off, right?
Either way, get the fuck out of my face. Anyways, so The Scald Crow being a comedy was a purposeful choice I made. So the first manuscript that I ever wrote, was plot-wise very, very different from The Scald Crow, but it dealt with a lot of the same themes, like themes around invisible disability, around having your chronic pain not be believed because you look healthy, and around being dismissed by the medical system as a whole and experiencing medical trauma as a result of that. So a lot of the same themes were explored, and I wrote this first manuscript, and it was really like an open wound. Like I really just kind of bled my little heart out into the page.
Mm,
Again, it was mostly a therapeutic exercise. And then I gave it to, some of my friends to read, and I sent it to some agents, sent them small to some small presses and stuff like that. And pretty universally, when I got feedback, the feedback I got was like, this is really moving and it's art, but I do not enjoy reading this.
yeah,
Obviously, they phrased it much nicer than that, but they were like, man, is this a bummer? And it was a big bummer. And so when I started writing Scald Crow, I was like, I knew I wanted to explore those same themes. It felt really important to me that there be a book out there that was about this experience that I was having, and that I couldn't find otherwise in fiction. But I was like, all right, I gotta do something to make it palatable. I gotta make it readable. And, Adam, you're right that when I'm talking, when I'm being myself, I find it very hard to stay serious for more than 120 seconds at a time. I really cannot keep a straight face. And so I just decided I was like, okay, what if I just inject that? What if I just be silly? What if I be a little lackadaisical? What if Breege deals with her pain and her trauma the same way that I deal with mine? And so I kinda just let myself do that, and not only was it so much easier to write than trying to be highbrow and serious and deep, but when I started giving it to beta readers, people were flying through it and enjoying it and connecting with it in a way that they just did not connect with my previous manuscript. So, after that, I decided everything I do from here on out is gonna be comedy,
yes,
because it allows me to explore these really, really dark themes in a way that people still find approachable and still connect to. I'm kinda trying to, wrap a pill in cheese and feed it to a dog.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's more fun for me to write too, and I do think it's, closer to who I am as a person. I think when people read The Scald Crow and then they meet me, they're like, "Ah, yeah, that makes sense."
I love it. I
well,
love
I have
it.
to say, Breege is one of my favorite characters I've read in years and years, and I'm like, there's a quote on the back that says that, that she's, I absolutely love the narrator. You almost believe that you can pick up the phone and call her, like, after, and,
Yes.
like, that's 100% how it feels that, like, I'm like, I love this book so much, everything else that's going on in it, I don't want it to end, but it's like, I wanna keep hearing her, like, I
Yeah.
want more, like, I wanna be friends with her, and so, it definitely works, and at the same time, absolutely, you feel everything that she's going through, and I have to say, like, personally, I really related to it not on, like
The abusive mother part?
oh, we'll get into that for sure,
Yeah.
but also just when I turned, 16, I think it is, something like that, I, started having panic attacks without knowing what that was, and
That's so
not knowing
scary.
it was yeah, not knowing it was panic attacks or anxiety or any of that kinda stuff, and I went to doctor after doctor, and they would tell me all these different things, that it was my diet, then it was I had allergies, and they said, "Take Claritin and it won't happen anymore," and, like, all of these things for, like, 3 or 4 years before
Yeah.
finally I actually was watching something on television and they were like, "Oh, was feeling this way and found out it was that," and I was like, "Wait, is that's what's happening to me," and it wasn't until then and, again, doctor after doctor is like, "Oh, let's try this. Let's put you on this medicine."
Did they ask you
Um
to try to lose weight like they do
Yes, they
women?
did.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
they were saying it was, like, some kind of, like, breathing thing that the problem that I was having the panic attacks and stuff, so,
Oh,
like, I
Yeah.
so
connected with that
that's
and,
where your
like
dad got that
well,
from.
it's like this idea, you're it's like for this character, it's like she's in so much pain and they're like, "Yeah, but you're really not." And it's like,
Yeah.
"I
Yeah.
don't feel the pain I'm feeling? Like, what are you saying right now?"
Exactly, yeah. Well, one comfort to you on the losing weight thing, that's just a kind of favorite of doctors who aren't very good everywhere.
Yeah.
I you can probably infer, aside from my genetic disease, like, I do have endometriosis and adenomyosis. I do have reproductive health problems, and when I was, I think, 18 or 19, I went to a doctor about it. I didn't know what it was. I was just in all this pain. I was bleeding really heavily. I was having all of these hormonal effects. And they said, they also told me to lose weight, and I weighed about 100 pounds at the
Oh my
time.
god.
And so they're even telling 100-pound, 19-year-old girls that they should drop weight. And so that was pretty wild, and I remember going back to my dorm after that apartment or after that appointment, excuse me, and I remember just sobbing as I thought about my diet and I tried to figure out how I was going to cut calories because, I legitimately couldn't figure out how I was going to survive on fewer calories than I was already eating.
That is
So
so
that's,
stressful.
yeah, so that was a really I really wish doctors thought a little bit more and there are some doctors out there who take this into account. There are some really great doctors out there, but there are a
And you
lot of doctors
definitely
who
have
don't.
that, in the book as
Yes,
well,
and
so
that
which is
is
wonderful.
represented, yeah, and so there are great doctors, and I mean, the book is dedicated to healthcare practitioners that I have who have helped me a lot, and so I don't
Mhm.
want anyone to think that, like, I'm, anti-doctor or anti,
No, it's just
science.
about finding the person that's actually gonna listen because
Yes.
one
Yes.
gives you hope, the other just makes you feel like I can't keep going through this.
Yeah, and we have certainly
Exactly,
had
yes.
wonderful ones after that too. And I think that, the way obviously in, one book, you kind of have to have sort of like one person that's representing a lot on both
Yeah.
sides here, but you do a beautiful job when she finds, the right person. The
Yeah,
feel like
it's
it's hard to describe the feeling of how good that feels and you do it perfectly here.
yeah, thank you. I mean, obviously, like, I'm diagnosed now, so I had a similar experience of like, yeah, just, one day I got the accurate diagnosis and then I was put on treatment and I'm not perfect now, I'm still disabled, but my endometriosis and adenomyosis symptoms specifically are so much more manageable than they used to be. And it's really important that people get appropriate care and that they get that care quickly. Adam, I know you made reference earlier to, suffering for years with panic attacks and not knowing what they are. And I kind of mentioned this in the author's note of Scald Crow that it takes years and years and years on average for people to get diagnoses of endometriosis and adenomyosis. And one of my hopes with the Scald Crow is that women and other uterus havers who read it who might be suffering in a way similar to Briege, because Briege's symptoms are very textbook for adenomyosis and endometriosis. And I hope that they read it. And if they're not diagnosed, they recognize some of their symptoms and then they take that to their doctor, and that they're able to get that diagnosis faster. Or maybe somebody has a friend who suffers similarly and is able to go, "Hey, I read this book and it was about this disease." It's so much easier to get those diagnoses when there's like a cultural knowledge about the existence of these illnesses. And endo and adeno in particular are quite common. It's estimated about 10% of folks with uteruses have them. And so it's really, really wild and absolutely, absolutely cruel and unconscionable that it takes so long to get diagnoses and get treatment.
Yeah, we have a friend, Jamie, who is pretty vocal about it and has shared a lot, but she looks completely healthy and fine. And
Yeah.
like she has tremendous flares and has, I guess there's like procedures that can relate to things with like veins and just how
Yep.
far the webbing can, I mean, but she definitely had this experience where, um, I mean, just finally, like, now she actually gets on a flight to go see her doctor that's, like, 4 to 6 hours away because that one actually listens to her and helps.
Yes, 100%. It's very worth it to travel for health providers who actually listen and who actually help. They are worth their weight in gold. I have one doctor, a gastroenterologist, and I think I can say who it is. That's Dr. DeMeo out of Rush in Chicago, and he's so wonderful. I have a lot of problems with my digestive system due to both the endo and adeno, but also due to my genetic disease. I have a lot of gastrointestinal problems, and he's so thorough. He's tried so many different things. He did a colonoscopy. He's dramatically. I still have a lot of problems with it, but he's dramatically reduced my symptoms. But I remember after my colonoscopy, and he didn't have like a really clear treatment plan after that colonoscopy. He came into the appointment afterwards and just looked me in the eyes and he said, "Grace, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to cure you. I've failed."
Oh,
And I mean, like, my heart, like, just, like, exploded so much just feeling his compassion. And I said to him, I said, "Dr. DeMeo, like, you didn't fail. You've done so much and you're so supportive and you've helped reduce my symptoms. I know you've done absolutely everything you can." And so even when a doctor, can't fully, fix a problem or can't fully manage your condition, even just that willingness of a doctor to really look you in the eyes and connect with you and acknowledge, the limitations of medicine. And instead of blaming you, the patient, saying that they don't know, it's the validation is beautiful. Dr. DeMeo's a real one. If
Imagine that was just like, he sees me as a human. I am a human,
yes,
not a number.
yes.
I am not just another patient. I am my own person and I matter to him. And there's so much hope in that.
It was so, so, so beautiful, and I can't say again, and that's why I'm always go out that's why I dedicated the book actually to so many of my good healthcare providers, because I really didn't want any readers or anybody to come away with the impression that I'm saying that, like, doctors as a group are bad or that medicine doesn't work. I think, and I know that this is actually a really like complicated issue in disability rights circles too.
mhm.
Because, there's also this like medical model of disability where the only way to like treat a disability is to cure it. And then there are, a lot of people who feel very strongly that we shouldn't be focusing so hard on curing disabilities. We should be focusing on, social supports and making the world accessible for disabled people. But honestly, like as a person whose disability is invisible and who experiences a lot of like pain and bowel problems and like things of that nature that are, I'm going to be honest, objectively bad. Like there's no there's no way to silver lining chronic diarrhea.
You wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Exactly, and so I personally, want the world to be accessible. Obviously, I think the social model has a lot of really good points, but really I kind of take this more like humanist model approach where I think we need to combine access to appropriate healthcare, humanizing healthcare with social access and with social supports in order to support all sorts of disabilities and not sugarcoat the disabilities that really really are just objectively bad to experience.
Yeah, I mean, is it even a possibility to heal all disabilities? I mean, maybe there's like
Oh, absolutely. I
relief
mean,
and remission or, a
yeah,
livable
I mean,
existence, but I
at
mean,
least for,
yeah.
chronic illnesses like the ones that I have, like, like my genetic disease, I can go through my alphabet soup of diagnoses. But with, like, my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, my mast cell activation syndrome, the
Oh my god, those
endometriosis,
things are
the
all
adenomyosis.
connected. I know I've
Yes,
just been learning about that, like, so it's like the Ehlers-Danlos was the first thing, and then how that's
yes, and then
with
they
guts,
kind of,
and
like,
now
cascade into each other,
yes, and
yes.
now the mast cell activation.
Yeah.
That's crazy because our other friend, Reese Reynolds, is, that just wrote me
She
up.
has postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, right?
She does, yep.
Yeah.
She just
It's
did a post the other day of, like, laying on the ground and was like, "Let me show you what this is like."
Oh, yeah, girl. I mean, man, let me tell you, I love the floor. Love it. Love the floor. Spend a lot of time on the floor. It's a good
Oh my
floor.
god,
Yeah.
okay.
She'll be at
Yeah,
Stoker. You guys can
diseases
eat and
like
trade
that, we
stories.
don't have cures for them. They can only be managed.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, we're not there yet. There's no, this isn't a fantasy novel. There's not a wizard with a healing spell or a cleric who can appeal to the god that I don't think exists for me.
I have to say too, like, I also had my gallbladder out not too long ago, and
Oh, it's like
after that
no, it is, it's been a while. It doesn't
yeah,
feel
it was
like that.
6 years ago, I
N
guess, 7 years
Yeah.
ago.
uh
Yeah, you
Almost
have
8,
some
just saying.
yes, you ha you have some very graphic and relatable poop moments in this book as well.
Look, everybody poops, okay?
Yeah, this is a house of poop jokes that we live in. So, as I was reading those, I was like, "Feel you. I feel you so much on this
Yeah,
one." So,
yeah.
yeah.
I
But it's
mean,
like, I think that I love that these are things that so many people probably relate to, won't talk about, don't talk about, all those kinds of things, but it's like, it both can be funny, when you talk about it, but at the same time, it's so real and it sucks so much.
Yeah, it sucks so much, and I just wanna comfort everybody out there by reminding you that, like, hot girls, hot people, we got IBS, we do. So, it's just, you know what? It's part of your charm, baby.
it's part of your charm, baby. I feel like too that they've talked a lot about recently, in certain areas of IBS being really an anxiety issue. Not anxiety, I'm sorry, let me say this again.
Inflam
No,
Nope.
that
Like a nerve, like brain, like
it's
gut
like this,
access.
how like your brain, your stomach is your second gut.
Yeah.
I'm
Your
sorry,
second
your
brain.
gut is your second brain. I promise I'm gonna
I'm
say
picking
this
up what you're putting
correctly.
down. Yeah, it's the gut brain access.
Right, and
So
so the way that we would, and that basically it's like, not that you have anxiety and then have IBS, it's not that, it's like all the like, bacteria and all those things and balances of, like, it's all, it's like, you it's more linked to potentially, like, a serotonin and other thing type issue like that,
yeah, yeah.
now,
You're
than an actual gastrointestinal, like, it come like, that's the symptom, but it's
yes.
not, like, the root.
There's a lot of evidence coming out that that our gut biome has a lot to do with the production of various neurotransmitters in our brain. And I'm actually quoting Dr. DeMeo from Rush. Shout out to Dr. DeMeo again when I say that our understanding of the gut and the gut microbiome is like currently in the Stone Age. We
Yeah.
really don't know how it works. And IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is like a diagnosis of exclusion at this point. You get that diagnosis, for a wide variety of symptoms and for, a wide variety of severities. based on having other things, like colon cancer, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, things like that excluded. And so probably, and this is my opinion, but I think most doctors would agree with me. Probably what we currently call IBS is multiple different disorders that have multiple different causes, but we don't know enough to actually be able to tease those apart. And so that's probably what's going on when we talk about things like irritable bowel syndrome,
Can
and
I
those
ask
other
a
diagnoses of exclusion. Yeah,
I wanna ask a strange question, and if it's, like, off base, then it is.
go for it.
What impact do you think the environment and, like, love and childhood and, like, I guess I would say has on biology? Like, basically maybe STP, TSD?
Oh, yeah, like kind of like a nature versus nurture thing.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
that kind of
so
brings back to the book here in many ways
yeah,
because, like, you've got this character that's going through these things that, was subjected to, like, hours-long berating that you are inherently bad, you're terrible, you're the cause of every bad thing in all of our lives, and, like, to think that that doesn't have physical effects is,
Well, that's basically thank you for tying it into the book, but that's
yeah.
kind of I felt like I have a friend of mine that has terrible IBS and is really open about sharing and just, how bad it is. And then after I'd heard that part about the gut brain and just the emotional aspects with it, and I was like, I wonder, he had a pretty intense childhood
yeah,
and just still deals with a lot of, kind of like shame and trauma and different things. And I was just, very curious how, and I know you had, said that, had that portion in the book, but just do you actually really feel that? I guess,
yeah.
I guess I do.
Yeah, so again, there's a lot of, again, really, really solid scientific research that kind of supports that, not only for, irritable bowel syndrome, but for all sorts of diseases.
Even like
Think
Crohn's as well?
I think, well, a lot of autoimmune, yeah, which Crohn's is an autoimmune disease because that sort of like, well, actually, if your listeners would like a book recommendation, I can't remember the author, but very famously, there's this like 500-page tome that's called "Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers," and it's
I
all about
actually know exactly what you're talking about. I've
yeah.
almost bought that book many times.
Yes, yeah. And so basically these sort of like kind of like long-term sustained stress that we're under in our modern human lives or that you would experience as a result of like prolonged childhood abuse or all sorts of things, has tremendous 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 impact on a lot of our body's systems functioning and a lot and it contributes dramatically to especially development of autoimmune diseases but development of all sorts of health conditions. One of the ways that we see that pop up, and again this is supported in a lot of scientific studies, is that members who are members of minorities groups or disenfranchised groups frequently have much higher degrees of chronic illness and autoimmune diseases than, your straight white males who are, financially well off do. You see much higher rates of autoimmune diseases in women. You see much higher rates of autoimmune diseases and other like complex health concerns in, like black and brown populations. And then so that's definitely really well supported in the research. And there's a lot to be said about like a lot of like in my mind a lot of like justice and health justice does start with reducing the chronic stress that people are
Yeah.
forced to put up with because of societal trauma and microaggressions and systemic mistreatment.
Right.
Because that has a really, really physical impact. If you're constantly put in situations where you're being mistreated and you're not allowed to do anything about it and you're forced to just take it, that eventually will show itself in your physical health and in your physical body. And so take it from Grace Daly. If someone's mean to you, punch them in the face. No, don't do that.
I saw this meme the other day and I said it to my best friend. It was like, one day when you get older, you're gonna regret not telling more people to fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like,
And she was like,
it's
let's
kind
start
of the
now.
vibe.
Exactly. Here's your Advil packet and fuck off. Thank you.
Yeah, and so that's something, that's something really, really that's something that's really, really well supported in research, and it's very difficult because of course we all want to be very generous, we all want to be very patient. Well, I mean, maybe we don't all, there are bad people out there, but most of us want to be patient, most of us want to be compassionate, most of us want to be generous, most of us don't really want to hurt other people. But when bad actors or when just people who are clueless or selfish and who don't really think about the way that, their behavior impacts others, really kind of like exert their influence, it can be ruinous for decades because of the chronic health implications. Yeah, it's really bonkers, and it makes you extra mad at Mammy and the Scald Crow.
Well, it's really hard, because I think about that, time period in my life and stuff, and I really try not to feel that way, but it feels like lost time and lost years of your life.
Yes,
When to try not to be, bitter and angry about that can be hard sometimes.
definitely.
But one thing that I really love in this book is the way that the scares and whatever it is that is happening in this house is sort of tied in, to that same feeling of, is something actually wrong with me, or am I thinking, are the doctors right and I'm actually fine and this is all in my head? And
Yeah.
mentality obviously is sort of like all in the thinking of, this person that's going through it. But the way that you like the way that the haunting events, whatever you want to call it, to not spoil anything because you're not going to know what it is. Like readers, you're not going to guess this one. I'm
It would
telling
be
you.
pretty wild if somebody guessed it.
But, like, as things slowly escalate in a way that it is very, I love the mixture of, like, uncanny valley things that happen in this book, um,
Yeah.
but then also the just, like you said, that fucking Jesus painting, I
The
threw it
fucking
away.
Jesus
I
painting.
took it to the
The fucking
I took it to, like, the place to give it away, like, to the, like, whatever you wanna call it,
the give it away place.
the Salvation Army or whatever, thrift shop, kinda
Yeah, the
thing.
thrift shop, I
Yeah.
donated it.
It's like it is gone, it is out of the house, there's no like, "Oh, did I or did I not?" It's like, you remember giving it to this person, and there now it's here again, and, like, to me, like, there's no violence involved with that, but it is so
Off-putting?
it feels like such a violation because it's like, what is happening when I'm not aware of it? And it's like someone is violating my home, this place that I'm trying to be safe in, and I don't even know why or what the point is because there's nothing threatening really when you think about it, but at the same time, I don't feel safe anymore.
Yeah. A lot of what's going on with the haunting, like, does amount to gaslighting, right? The purpose of it is legitimately just to make Briege doubt herself and just to upset her. That's it. And that's it's this is something that, like, is, like, a deep fear of mine,
Yeah,
is just that sort of, like, pointless cruelty is a big fear of mine. And also similarly, you pointed out that a lot of the fear in Skull and Crow comes from Uncanny Valley, and that's one of my big triggers too. Is I really, really cannot handle like that Uncanny Valley thing where it's not really clear what the threat is. It's not that you're in immediate danger. But like, God, like this something's not right. I'm not in control. I
yes.
don't understand the motivations of any of this. It's
You
very
totally yeah.
upsetting.
You activated a new fear in me, which is that I'm gonna see someone that I know very well and they're the wrong height.
Yeah,
That is so deeply disturbing, like, I don't even I'm like, "What the fuck?" You know? And you do it a couple times and, one time it's someone she hasn't met in person, and it's like, "Okay, maybe I'm just wrong, but that person doesn't seem like they would be that tall." And then the second time, it's like, "No, I know." And, like,
yeah.
it just like, both times I'm like, I hate that so much. Good job."
I hate it too, that's why I put it in there.
I hate it too.
Yeah, so that's just what, and, like, I have to tell you, like, I'm working a job where I go in a lot of different rooms and things like that, and ever since I read this book, I just see a thumb, like, not just in the door stopper or, like, the thing, but, like, in the little ones that I do to keep the doors open. I'm like, What if that was just a thumb the next time I came back?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What would I even do? Like,
She
what
is
would I
No,
she's
yeah,
a
what do you do with that?
Yeah,
she's a rent free in your brain,
and
dude.
I'm just like,
You put it
that
in the freezer.
I'm like, that was attached to somebody at some point, like,
Yeah,
what is
and
this
again,
then? Am I looking
it's
for a
not a
thumbless
direct
person?
threat.
Like, what do I
What does
do?
it mean? What do I
I
do?
was like a really cruel person,
Because
and not
technically they
cruel,
could
but I mean
that person could
cool.
just be walking around fine, but thumbless, like, you don't know it's the dead
You
person,
know
you know?
what? I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself because I feel like you deserve. I was gonna say, what if I, got a 3D printed thumb and it
Yeah, that
passed
would
it
be
to one of your coworkers
you
and they just
know?
stuck it under the door?
I like to
Because you
think
know I
they
love to prank
yeah,
you,
yeah,
and that would be a great end of year present to just be like, "Oh my god, there is a
yes.
fucking thumb here."
You'd probably hear me screaming from my job to here, so
I should have just kept it to myself because
yeah,
that would have been
thank
wonderful,
God.
but I genuinely think you would've.
But now you could double gaslight me and it happened, and then I'm like, "Yeah, I can't believe you did this," and you're like, "What are you talking
I
about?
didn't do that.
I didn't
That
do
must have
anything."
been great. She got your school
Come
number, yeah.
on. And
I
then
did, I did, like, a fundraiser for a cat rescue, like, leading up to the release of Scald Crow, and there were a bunch of different prizes you could win, and one of the prizes was hand soaps that was shaped like disembodied fingers, and that was a hit. People liked the finger soaps. The literal hand soap is what I
that
called it.
is
That's
amazing.
crazy. Don't forget to use your notes.
The other thing that, like, to me is, like, so scary, like, I can't even imagine, and I don't know if there was any, like, personal attachment to this, but having the same nightmare every single night
Are you
for
serious?
years upon years upon years, like, that is just a hell that I can't even imagine too.
Okay,
So
I didn't
that
have it the same night every night, but I usually have the same nightmare at least minimum of 2,
At
like
least a
2,
theme,
at
you know?
at least 2 times a month.
Yeah.
yeah. So the nightmare was actually a recurrent nightmare I had as like a little girl, and it
Oh.
was exactly as described in the book.
No.
Yup, of my mother coming into the room, saying exactly what's said in the book, exactly that spooky. Yep. So that was a real recurrent nightmare that I had as a little girl, and that's where that one came from. I'm not I wish I was that creative because it is real. It's real messed up. I guess my subconscious is. But
I mean, I bet you wish it wasn't from reality.
no, yeah, actually. But yeah, like, but yeah, when I was probably, gosh, that was probably from ages like 4 to 8 or 9. I had that nightmare all the time. And just like Breeze describes, like the next morning, my mom would just be like there and like, ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. Oof, that's crazy. I can't even imagine. And I definitely wanna spend some time on a love fest for Koo.
I was like, "Can we please talk
Cool.
about the cat? How long are we gonna have to wait to talk about the cat?"
A cat named Dog.
Yeah. I often joke who is everyone's favorite character and everyone's right.
Yeah, and just, first of all, yeah, like I said, like, the pun of a cat named Dog, like, absolutely, I would be tell everyone that all the time, just like she does. But I just, I love the rescue. I love that whole scene of like, he's ugly, he's old, and of course he's not. Um,
Yeah, he's
it's just so great.
Yeah, he's actually, this is a little Easter egg. So Ku is, as described, exactly a cat that was up for adoption at a cat shelter that's like half a mile away from my house, down to his name at the rescue. He even had the same name at the rescue. And he was at the cat rescue at the time as that I was writing my first draft of Scald Crow. And I wanted to adopt him so bad, but I could not afford another animal's worth of vet bills, so I had to sit by and watch him get adopted by some, I'm sure, equally qualified family.
No.
And so my little, like, gift to myself was I wrote him into the book. And so I even, like, down to, like, the little snorty nose and, like, the tuxedo pattern he has and everything, that's a real cat that I wanted.
Amazing. So you get to have them in some way, right?
In some way, I get to keep him forever.
But for real, who names a cat Odie for real though?
I know, seriously. I saw that name at the rescue and I was like, "Wrong." That's the dog from Garfield. What are you doing?
And, I just wanna say, like, without getting into any spoilers, because again, I know the book's been out, but too bad if you haven't read it. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. You have to read it. When it comes to what happens at the end of this book, did you always have that in mind, like, knowing that this is what it was gonna lead up to? Because it is very say, it seems like something that would have had to been really, like, known, researched, all that kinda stuff, before you did it. So was this something that you knew about, and then you were like, "Okay, that's where I'm going with this," or were you like, "Oh, this makes sense?"
So by the time I sat down and actually started writing Scald Crow, I knew that that was going to be the ending. I'm choosing my
Okay.
words very carefully to not
Yes.
reveal anything. The original version that I had in my head had not the ending that there was. Actually, it was going to be much more Catholic, and there was going to be like a demon instead of what
Okay.
ends up actually being the thing. And I was going to
Yeah.
do a lot of like Catholic theming and a lot of Catholic imagery. But then the more I kind of was like drafting it and outlining it in my head, the more I thought I had too many themes going. That I really wanted Scald Crow to be focused on invisible illness and trauma and disability and this concept of being believed about chronic pain. And that when I did all of this like Catholic theming, I got worried that people were going to read it and be like, oh, this is a book about Catholicism. And I
Yeah.
didn't want it to be read as a book about Catholicism. And so I decided I needed something else. And I have a lot of I don't think this gives anything away that there's because this is how it's often promoted is that there's a folklore element.
Yeah.
And I really, really like folklore. And so I kind of naturally was like, okay, well, let's do something with folklore. And then don't Google this if you don't want a spoiler, because if you do, listener, Google this and you find out what her dissertation is on, it will give you a spoiler. But I have a friend who is a expert in folklore, Dr. Beth Kempton Patterson, who teaches at Lake College in Illinois. And she gave me a lot of very helpful information and pointers on how to make the ending that I made actually work. Um, and I think that that's a spoiler free, very dancing around a way that accurately describes kind of the endings. I knew some of the ending and some of the folklore elements myself, but a lot of the reason why it's so detailed and so rich is because I have brilliant friends who I mine for their brilliance and then pass off as my own.
Listen, we use our resources. I think, it's like
We use our resources, and I do thank her in the acknowledgments.
yeah. That's just the Henry James style of writing. He said, "Be one upon whom nothing is lost." So, it's her fault for having talked about it, and it goes into a book, so
She shouldn't have info dumped on me about her life's
exactly.
greatest passion if she didn't
Yeah,
want me to learn about her life's greatest passion.
and then use it to become a Bram Stoker nominated author, like, what are you gonna do? So, I love that, and the ending is just perfection, like, just love this book so much, and, the first novel category is, like, absurdly stacked this year, like, so much
Yeah.
talent, and I'm rooting for you, absolutely, can't wait.
I will be flabbergasted if I win. The other books are so good.
But just well, this it more than holds its own. I would not be shocked if this book wins because
Thank you.
the
That's
layers
very
to it is just
sweet.
fantastic. We actually yesterday we just talked to Nina, who's up too, and her
I
second
love
book
Nina.
yes, her second book is amazing that's coming out too. So where it horror is so strong right now, and I especially love that horror written by women, who deal with more horror than anyone else, in many ways, should be writing the best horror, and definitely I love that it's actually being, recognized by the authorities or whatever you wanna call the HWA and those. So happy that this is nominated, and I see on the back here that you have a fantasy novella coming out?
Yes. So I actually have yeah, I have this fantasy novella coming out later in 2026. I don't have the exact date yet, so I can't share it, but it's coming out 2026. It's called The Star of Kilnaley, and it's a fantasy comedy. It is a novella told in short stories, and all of the short stories are based on Irish folk tales or folk music, and they're all circling around the titular character, the Star of Kilnaley, who is a folk hero who I created. But even though the stories are based in Irish folklore and folk tales, the setting of the story is actually a fantastical version of the American Midwest. So a big like fantasy prairie town that has, magic and like real gods that visit the town. And the Star of Kilnaley is basically my attempt at trying to create like a Paul Bunyan esque folk hero.
Amazing.
Yeah, so all of the short stories come together to tell a broader story of the various escapades of the Star of Kilnaley, who is a incredibly charming, somewhat foolhardy, wild, kind of like romantic folklore figure.
I love that. That sounds amazing. Cannot wait to read that.
It's a lot of fun. There's a giant magic dog in it. There's a disabled main character. There's the star himself who doesn't explicitly I wrote it so I can say this. He's got ADHD. I'm allowed to say it. I wrote it.
You can
But there's a
diagnose them.
I can diagnose him. There's a physically disabled main character too. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some like LGBTQ representation in it, and it's very much a romp, but it's also a critique of late stage capitalism and gentrification.
You
Again, the pill,
know,
the cheese.
the way you balance the heavy and the light is amazing. So I cannot wait.
I'm really really excited about that one. It's very silly.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Anything else that you're working on too that you would be able to disclose?
To talk about this one. It's not officially announced yet, but I recently sold to Ajita Press, formerly From Beyond Press, which is a press local to me in Chicago, like choose your own adventure style adult pick a path story that's
That's
called
awesome.
escapist fiction. And it's a sci fi horror comedy. Again, everything I do is silly, where like I said, it's an interactive pick a path story, but it's even a little bit beyond a regular pick a path story because there are like puzzles and prompts that you interact with the book with. Like there's at one point you're encouraged to stab the book. There are word puzzles. There's a maze. You spill your drink on the book. At one point the book tries to get you to light the book on fire. And so it's real weird and it's a exploration of escapist media and the illusion of choice explored through a alien hive mind that overtakes the brains of people when they get too involved in escapist media and stop critically examining the things that they consume.
I mean, yeah, I figured that's what it was about.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever done.
I love it. I cannot wait, man. Yeah, so we have some awesome stuff coming
Yeah,
from
that'll
you.
be coming out early 2027, escapist fiction.
Perfect. I
So,
love
yeah.
it. And then where can everyone find you? Socials, that kind of thing?
My website is www.gracedailyauthor.com. Daily spelled Daly for my Chicagoans, not like the mayor. Similarly on Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, all of those, I'm Grace Daly Author, all one word. I try to make it real easy and I'm most active on Instagram. So if you really want to see what I'm up to, that's probably your best spot.
Well, this was an absolute pleasure. We're rooting for you, and we'll see you next month at Stoker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really looking forward to meeting you guys.
Yes, have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.